always been pro-life my entire life. There's not a time where I can remember not being pro-life, but for most of my life I never did anything about it. I never acted on that conviction that life is sacred and it's precious in the womb and it needs to be actively defended. And that really began to change for me about 7.5 years ago. My wife Laura and I were newlyweds. We were living in Chicago, Illinois. And I arrived to my office one morning, and as I'm walking in the doors to the office, I got a text message from my wife, Laura. Now, that should have been my first sign that something was wrong, okay? Because my wife hates text messages. She doesn't even like to receive text messages for whatever reason. And so I knew something must have been up. And sure enough, Laura was sending me a text message to inform me that one of her coworkers, a young woman named Angela, with whom she worked very closely on a day-to-day basis, Angela came into the office that morning and said that she was pregnant, but she was going to go ahead and get an abortion. And to make matters worse, all of the coworkers in that small office told her that that was the right decision to make. They said, you've got to look out for yourself. You've got to concern yourself with your future. Don't let anybody try to tell you that this is some kind of a moral issue by any means. Now, my wife at that time was not actually pro-life herself. She said that she would have described herself as pro-choice. Now, I think it's not because she was radically or militantly pro-abortion by any means, but she had simply never come face-to-face with the crisis of abortion. But here in her coworker Angela, my wife was for the very first time face-to-face with the crisis of abortion, and Laura had an instant conversion. I'm so proud of the way that she responded. After being a pro-choice a few minutes before that, she went and offered Angela all of the love and help and support and encouragement that she thought Angela could possibly use to be empowered to choose life for her child. Laura offered to let Angela come and move in with us and live with us rent-free. Laura offered generous financial assistance of the money that we'd gotten as wedding gifts from generous family and friends. Laura even offered, even though we were 8 months along expecting our first son, Peter, Laura offered to adopt Angela's baby and raise that child as our own if that's what it would take to give Angela the courage to choose life. And that love, that help, that support, it made a difference. And we know that it does because we hear the statistics that somewhere in the neighborhood of 80% of women who have had abortions say that if just one person had reached out with love and encouraged them to choose life, that they would have done so. And Angela was among that 80%. She went from looking up abortion providers and planning an abortion to looking up the names of babies. She decided she would keep her baby, she would become a mother, and she would name her baby Michaela. My goodness, Laura and I were delighted. We were so excited. We were so excited for the way the Lord was working. We were so excited that we had the grace to be able to play some small role in this tragedy averted. Above all, we were delighted by the grace of life for this child, Michaela, and the new family that was beginning with her mother, Angela. We were so excited. It was about that time where we were scheduled to have dinner with Angela at a restaurant in downtown Chicago. This Friday evening, we got to the restaurant, and Angela wasn't there. She wasn't answering her phone, she didn't return her phone calls. We thought, well, you know, she's pregnant, she might not be feeling well, maybe she's a little bit under the weather, or maybe we had some confusion on the location or the time that we would be meeting. And so we ended up having dinner, and we knew sooner or later we would find out where Angela was at that time. And sure enough, we did. 2 days later, it was Sunday. We got up in the morning, as we always do, we went to church, we came home, we had a little bit of lunch, and right as we were starting to wash the dishes, Laura's phone rang. She answered it. It was Angela. Angela was sobbing. Well, we were waiting for Angela at the restaurant. She was having her abortion. She'd been able to withstand the pressure that she was getting from her colleagues, from her boyfriend, even from her parents, but when she got that same pressure from her doctors, that's what broke her. She had the abortion, and now she was on the phone, sobbing, heartbroken, devastated, never to be the same. In our own way, Laura and I were heartbroken and devastated too. And in our own way, we would never be the same because it's really that moment where I recognized it wasn't enough for me to be pro-life. I had to do something about it. It's that moment where I recognized that I needed to make a pledge.